It's one of the most confusing and painful patterns a man can experience. You meet a woman and it feels like lightning strikes. The connection is instantaneous, profound, almost supernatural. You're convinced you've found the one. You pour everything into it, your time, your emotions, your hopes for the future. And then it ends. Maybe she pulls away. Maybe she tells you, "You've put me on a pedestal." Or, "I feel like you don't even see the real me." Or maybe she ghosts you completely, leaving you heartbroken and bewildered, wondering what happened. It felt so real. You think the problem was her. You think she'd changed, or she was flawed, or the timing was wrong. But the brutal truth is, the problem wasn't her. The problem was the lens through which you were seeing her. The very magic that you thought was the foundation of your connection was actually the seed of its destruction. You weren't in love with her. You were in love with a ghost inside your own mind, and you forced her to wear its mask. Today, we talk about that ghost. Carl Jung called her the Anima, and understanding her is the single most important step to breaking this painful cycle and finally finding a real, lasting connection. The first step is a confession that will feel like the death of romance itself. You must admit that the magical, once-in-a-lifetime feeling you have for a particular woman is not a reliable guide to reality. It is a projection. This projection can take many forms. Sometimes you project the goddess. You see her as flawless, perfect, an otherworldly being whose presence alone elevates you. You worship her. But no human woman can survive on that pedestal. Your worship prevents any real human connection. Sometimes you project the damsel in distress. You see her as broken, wounded, someone only you can save. Your purpose becomes her rescue. But in doing so, you deny her own strength and create a relationship based not on equality, but on a power dynamic that will eventually breed resentment. And sometimes you project the manic pixie dream girl, the quirky, free-spirited muse who is meant to pull you out of your boring life and teach you how to live. You don't love her. You love what she does for your story. In every case, you have to confess that the magic you see shimmering around her is not hers. It is a light you are shining upon her from a lantern hidden deep within your own psyche. You have to confess that the sense of completeness you feel is a lie. It is a confession that you feel fundamentally incomplete on your own. You have outsourced your soul's work to another person, making them responsible for your own inner world. This is the foundational admission. Your most intense and intoxicating infatuations are not a window into her soul. They are a treasure map pointing to the most neglected and most beautiful part of your own. So, who is this woman inside? In the language of psychology, this inner feminine figure is the anima. She is the unconscious feminine part of a man's psyche, the blueprint of the soul, the inner guide to the world of feeling, relationship, and meaning. She is a composite photograph created from every significant feminine influence in your life. Your mother, sisters, first loves, teachers, and the archetypal women of culture and myth. Your conscious personality, your persona, is the masculine mask you show the world, your logic, ambition, and drive. The anima is its counterpart, your capacity for relationship, your intuition, your creativity, your moods, and your connection to soul. Crucially, the anima has developmental stages, a man's relationship with his inner feminine, and therefore with outer women matures over time. Jungians identified 4 primary stages. First is Eve. This is the anima in her most instinctual form, tied purely to the biological and the carnal. The man at this stage sees women primarily as objects for gratification or as mother figures for comfort. The relationship is earthly, instinctual, and entirely dependent. Second is Helen of Troy. Here, the anima gains an aesthetic and romantic quality. The woman is now an object of desire and beauty, a prize to be won. There is romance, sexuality, and a sense of adventure. But she is still largely a vessel for the man's personal ambition and fantasy, not a fully realized individual. Many men spend their entire lives on this stage, chasing an idealized Helen. Third is the Virgin Mary. The anima evolves to a spiritual level. The woman is now capable of inspiring true devotion and compassion. Femininity is seen as something sacred, pure, capable of profound love. This stage introduces deep feeling and the capacity for lasting commitment, but can still carry a danger of idealization, seeing the woman as morally perfect and spiritually pure, denying her own shadow and humanity. Fourth is Sophia, which in Greek means wisdom. This is the highest stage of anima development. She is no longer just a lover or a source of purity. She is a guide to the inner life. A man who has integrated his Sophia can relate to women as complete individuals, equals, and partners in a shared journey. He is no longer projecting. He can see a woman in her totality, her light and her dark, and love her for it. She is a guide to his own soul. When a man is unconscious of his anima and where he is on this ladder, he is in a state of anima possession. His moods swing wildly based on her inner whims. He becomes touchy, overly sentimental, irrational, and passive-aggressive. He is, in a sense, being puppeted by a force he doesn't understand, and he projects this inner chaos onto the women in his life, blaming them for the turmoil that originates within him. At this point, 3 crucial questions arise. First, is all intense love a lie? No, absolutely not. The distinction is between projection and connection. Projection feels frantic, desperate, and needy. It's an anxious craving. It's about idealization. You worship her perfection and ignore her humanity. True connection, or deep love, feels calm, grounded, and expansive. It is a quiet confidence. It sees and loves the whole person, flaws and all. The goal isn't to kill intense feeling, but to transform the neurotic obsession of projection into the profound power of genuine love. Second, how is the anima different from the shadow? The shadow is what you have repressed because you deemed it bad or unacceptable. Your aggression, your weakness, your messy desires. It is your personal underworld. The anima is the very lens through which you relate to that underworld and to the world of soul. The shadow is the caged beast. The anima is the mysterious muse who holds the key to the cage. Integrating the shadow gives you power and authenticity. Integrating the anima gives you depth, meaning, and relatedness. You need both to be a whole man. Third, what if I'm not creative or I don't remember my dreams? The dialogue with the anima is not limited to art. It is about paying attention to the quality of feeling in your life. It's noticing what movies, music, or stories move you to tears and asking why. It's honoring your intuition, that gut feeling, instead of immediately dismissing it with logic. It's engaging in any activity that isn't about productivity, but about being, a walk in nature, listening to an album without distraction, losing yourself in a hobby. That is where she speaks. With that clarity, we can begin the work. This is not intellectual, it is experiential. First is the practice of radical honesty. When you feel that overwhelming infatuation, stop. Ask yourself one critical question. What feeling am I hoping this woman will give me that I am not currently providing for myself? Is it a feeling of validation, of being special, of being alive? This question turns the lens from her back onto your own inner lack. Second is the act of withdrawing the pedestal. This is an act of love for the real person. You must consciously work to humanize her in your mind. Actively ask yourself, what does she struggle with? What does she fear? What are her mundane, everyday problems? You must make an effort to love her humanity, not her divinity. This is the only ground upon which real connection can grow. Third is the dialogue with the muse. This is the deepest work. The most powerful tool for this is active imagination. It's simpler than it sounds. Find 15 minutes where you will not be disturbed. Close your eyes. Imagine a place in your mind, a forest, a library, a beach. Then invite this inner feminine figure to appear. Whatever form she takes, accept it without judgment. And then you ask her questions. Who are you? What do you want from me? What part of my life have I been neglecting? The key is to listen. Let the answers arise naturally, without you consciously creating them. Write down the dialogue afterward. This is how you build a real internal relationship with your anima. It is how you learn to give yourself the validation you are seeking from others. The man who consistently does this work undergoes a profound transformation. The seeker, the man ruled by an unconscious anima, lives a life of frantic energy. He jumps from one infatuation to the next, always feeling the same initial high, followed by the same devastating crash. His emotional life is a roller coaster he doesn't control. The man who integrates his anima becomes sovereign. His emotional center is within himself. He's no longer a seeker, desperately searching for a woman to complete him, because he is already whole. He possesses a quiet, unshakable inner compass. His moods no longer throw him off course. He listens to them for guidance. The creative, soulful energy he once projected onto women now flows through his own life, enriching his work, his passions, and his very being. This is the man who can finally have a true partnership. He doesn't need a woman to be his goddess, because he has found the divine within himself. He is free to love the human woman in front of him with all her beautiful imperfections. The frantic neediness is replaced by a deep, resonant presence. The desperation is replaced by a playful, creative connection. When you have done this work, you stop looking for the magic in another person. You realize you are the source of the magic yourself. The ghost you were projecting onto every woman you met ceases to be a tormentor and becomes your greatest ally, your guide to a life of depth, creativity, and profound connection. The longing for a savior is over. You have saved yourself, and you are finally, truly free to love.